Using an SNS is a game changer because it allows you to breastfeed and supplement at the same time during the feed, which completes 2 of the 3 steps required for a triple feed. Welcome to the Navigating Low Milk Supply podcast, where my goal is to help your breastfeeding journey from turning into the breastfeeding odyssey. So be sure to subscribe or follow along for additional low milk supply support and tips. I'm excited about today because I'm going to be going over how to use a supplemental nursing system, or also known as an SNS. This tool is great because it's going to help you avoid a bottle preference, it's going to keep baby to the breast, and it's going to cut down on the time that you are putting towards feeding your baby, especially if you are currently triple feeding. And using an SNS is my favorite way to replace a triple feed. So I'm excited to dive in on how to use this to fully replace a triple feed, how to make sure you set it up properly, and then how to make sure you are taking care of it and cleaning it when you are done. Using an SNS is a game changer because it allows you to breastfeed and supplement at the same time during the feed, which completes 2 of the 3 steps required for a triple feed. In order to replace a triple feed with using the SNS, you will still need a pump at the end, so that way you are completing all 3 parts. Here is how to set up an SNS for a feed. So I use the Medela SNS, and I actually love this one. It is so easy to use. There is a bit of a learning curve, especially when you're getting the baby first latched on, but I'm going to walk you through what you need to know to be able to do this as easily as possible. This SNS specifically is the full-sized one, which I like better than the starter SNS. I like this one better because it's larger. It can grow with you if the volume needs that your baby has for whatever supplement you're providing grows, and it's also comes with 2 tubes instead of just 1, which is what the starter one has. Having 2 tubes will actually save you time and make it easier prep-wise because you'll be able to get them in place and you won't have just 1 tube to work with when you're alternating between breasts. If you're interested in trying the SNS, the link to grab this one will be in the description. First thing, you're going to fill the SNS with the supplement volume you need. There are markings on the side to help guide you. It does come with this medical tape, so you'll cut off a piece. You're then going to secure the tube to your breast by putting it directly on the skin. You don't want it on the areola and you don't want it on the nipple. You do want the tube to be slightly extended past your nipple. Do this on both sides, and now you're ready to latch your baby. The SNS has different notches for you to secure the tubing, so that way the milk doesn't flow and leak when you're getting this all set up. So once your baby is latched, you'll then tug on the tube to unhook it, and then from there, your baby will be able to get the milk from that tube only. The other one is still secure in place. But keep an eye out for grabby hands. They can unhook the other side while you're nursing. It can be helpful to know what position you're going to feed your baby in, so that way you can put the tubing on the right spot. You want the tubing to line up with either the top of their mouth or along the side. You don't want it coming up from the bottom, so make sure you line up the tubing and where it's taped accordingly. When you're all done feeding at the breast with the SNS, you'll absolutely want to make sure that you finish with a pumping session. You don't want any leftover milk left behind. The emptier your breasts, the better. This will signal your body to up milk production, but also any of the pump milk that you get can be used as part of your supplement for your next feed. This SNS comes with 3 different tubing sizes, so make sure you're using the size that's appropriate for your baby. I always recommend to start off with the red one if your baby is strong and alert enough. This one is technically the slowest flow. This is in case your breasts have a slower flow to them, and if you're ever nursing without the SNS, it can prevent your baby from developing a flow preference. And again, this is only if the SNS provides a faster milk flow than your own breasts. This is because babies want the fastest and most efficient way to get their milk in their bodies, and so if they are nursing and the milk flow changes, this can cause some frustration and aversion to wanting to breastfeed. Keep in mind, this may not be the right size for your baby. There are a variety of things that can cause your baby to not nurse very efficiently, and these things actually can also contribute to having a low milk supply. Some of these things can include having a preemie baby, having a baby who's jaundiced and now lethargic, having a baby who has oral ties or tension that makes it difficult for them to breastfeed, or in my case, I had a baby who was super sleepy at the breast. If you have a baby who struggles to stay awake during a feed, this can make it hard for them to get enough milk in them. And if you want a list of some of these things that can contribute to a low milk supply and can make breastfeeding harder, I actually have a free guide that you can grab in the description. So if this is the case for you, go with the white tubing, which is the medium flow. This will help them feed easier and get more milk in them faster, so that way it can overall cause less strain on your baby. You can always downsize later when your baby is able to feed better. I'd stay away from the fastest flow, which is the transparent tubing. That can just, again, lead to that flow preference that we're trying to avoid. Another thing that can affect the flow is the placement of your SNS. The higher you hang it on your neck, the easier it is for gravity to help the milk flow, whereas the lower you position it, the more your baby will actually have to work to get the milk flowing through the tubes. This is actually a good thing if your baby is in a place where they can handle this, because that amount of effort that they'll have to put in to get the milk flowing through the tubes is similar to what they would have to do to naturally drain your breasts of the milk while they're breastfeeding. It just depends on where your baby's at and if they have the strength to handle it. There can be a learning curve when it comes to getting the tube placed correctly and getting your baby to latch on with the tube, but once you get that down, I guarantee you it is going to change your low milk supply journey for the better. Now, I loved using the SNS because it did take out that extra step with triple feeding, but I also found cleanup was easier with this than with a bottle. To clean your SNS, all you have to do is fill it up with some really hot soapy water, put the cap back on, and shake it vigorously. Oh, and make sure you have the tubes locked in place when you're shaking it, or you're gonna have soapy water flying everywhere. Once you're done shaking, then unhook the tubes and give it a gentle squeeze to allow the soapy water to run out and through the tubes. Last step is to rinse all of the soapy water out of the bottle, fill it up with a little bit more hot water, secure it with the tubes unhooked, squeeze one more time to get all of the soap out of the tubing. There's no brushes you have to use, there is less pieces to clean, it's just all around so much faster than washing a bottle. The only thing is that you will have to wash this after each feed, but it takes literally minutes and it is so easy. Now, the SNS may be my ride or die, but it isn't necessarily the method I would use for a nighttime feed. So be sure to tune into the next episode of the triple feeding series where I will be going over nighttime strategies so that way you and your baby can get the most sleep possible. Make sure you subscribe or follow on whatever platform you are listening or watching on so you don't miss the next episode of the podcast.